What up, dog? I gotta tell you about this game. An evil and demonic game. Where you start a cult. In a game, of course. If you do want to start a real cult, you should ask Tom Cruise or Jared Leto or one of those guys. I don't know nothing about that. Serious. But before I do that, how about a little bit of context? I've actually known about this game for a while. I sometimes see it on Twitter, Instagram posts and such, but I never felt like checking it out. After all, it reminds me too much of another game with cutesy animals in it. That's right, good old Animal Crossing. I gotta be honest, I love this game. The sense of relaxation it brings, the amount of hours I played during the pandemic, which made those dark, hopeless days just a tiny bit brighter. Even the games that came out before New Horizons, it was nothing short of a good time. But the game has one little problem in my opinion. You see, once you start playing Animal Crossing, all you do is get a house, become the mayor, pay off your mortgage to a capitalistic evil landlord who wants to see the middle class disappear, and make your town as cute as possible. But after decorating your town and make it just the way you imagine, after obtaining every single villager you want, like Anko, there's literally no reason to go back to the game. It doesn't have any side games or activities you can sink your time into. Which, let's stop the video real quick, it's absolutely stupid. The original Animal Crossing for the Nintendo 64 let you play NES games, so why can't we do the same thing here, 20 years after? I don't know, it just seems kinda stupid to me, but let's just continue the video. I just didn't care enough to go back to this game knowing the lack of side activities it had. After 2 months playing, without any time travel shenanigans, there's absolutely no reason to pick this game again. This was the main reason I didn't want to play Cult of the Lamb. I didn't want to waste hours of my time playing Farm Simulator, Farmville, you know what I mean, okay? That all changed one night. Talking to a group of friends one fateful night, I decided to ask about Cult of the Lamb. After all, I've seen it all over the internet for a good chunk of time now, and I was debating whether or not I should get it. And this one thing one of my friends told me really surprised me.
You know, I can eat a dozen hot dogs in less than 12 seconds.
My bad, wrong clip.
Cult of the Lamb? Yeah man, I really like it, super fun.
This really took me by surprise, not only because of how good he is at eating fast food, but most importantly, the fact that he enjoyed Cult of the Lamb. Keep in mind, this is a guy who did not like Animal Crossing because he said it was boring and casual. So him giving his seal of approval to Cone on a Lamp must mean something. And at first, I didn't want to believe him. I thought he was joking. That was until he said this.
Oh yeah, it's a roguelike by the way.
A roguelike published by Devolver? With Altimore Frosting Village Management System? That's all I needed to know. That same night, I decided to go ahead and buy, download, and play the game. But before doing any of that, I had to ask my friend to recreate a 12 hot dog challenge. He almost got a heart attack, but it was worth it. The game starts after we die, which sounds like some cultish shit to me. Soon after, we meet this creature named Nerinder, which is supposed to be the god of death or something, I don't know. I've only ever read the Bible once, and he tells us he will bring us back to life, like that one Evanescence song. But in return, we have to start a cult in his name. And since we don't have any options, we just go ahead and start building a cult, baby! By the way, I decided to name my cult Scientology because that's actually hilarious. And as we start the game, it is mentioned that our resurrection is part of a prophecy. In this prophecy, we slay every single bishop of the old faith we saw at the start of the game. And I mean, they try to kill us first, so it's fair game at this point. And this is where the game branches into its two main components, resource management and roguelike. Let's start with the first one. The game is technically like Animal Crossing in the sense that you are building a cult. However, as a cult leader, you're meant to provide for your people. Give them food, housing, treat their illnesses, get them social security. But on top of all that, you gotta make sure they're happy. If you fail to satisfy your cultists out of their every need, they'll either die or leave the cult altogether. What a bunch of ungrateful pieces of shit. There are many ways to make your people happy. One of them is going to your church and give out a sermon. Or you can just give them drugs. Like a real cult, by the way. And I want to emphasize just how bizarre all of this is, which is one of the main reasons why I love this game so much. I just can't believe they got away with all this shit. All these doctrines help you out in maintaining your cult and the well-being of your followers. But the place itself may look just bland and juicy. At the start of the game, all you can do is get enough resources to get by. But in the end game, you have so many raw materials and money, you can make your home as nice as possible. Do you want to have a cult which main theme is that there's skulls or flowers everywhere? You can do it. Do you want to start a cult where everyone is represented by a yellow fox named Maria who reminds you of your dead wife? Well, I don't know why you would do that, but you can.
Maria?
And all of this is just one part of the game. The other part of the game is what makes it fun. The game is a roguelike, and as of late, roguelikes have positioned themselves as my favorite games to play. Enter the Gungeon, Risk of Rain, Dead Cells, Spelunky, they all have a thing in common. If you die, you have to start all over from the beginning, and dying is about the easiest thing you can do on those games. Cult of the Lamb works the same way. You start a dungeon, you have no control over the equipment you get, and if you make it to the end, perfect. If not, well, too bad, you gotta start over. And if you're an absolute masochist, like me, you can turn on permadeath, so once you die, you have to start a new file. When going out on an adventure, you do it not only to kill the gods of the old faith, but also to obtain resources for your own cult. That's where you'll get different types of melee weapons, spells, and relics. And that's the beauty of roguelikes. Sometimes you'll get the God Run, where you become literally unstoppable. And sometimes you get the Duck Water Run, where you die after a couple of minutes because you couldn't find anything useful. It incentivizes creativity and adaptability. My only real problem is that the game is easy, even on the hardest difficulty.
That was easy.
I rarely even died on this game, which defeats the purpose of being a roguelike. If you want, you can handicap yourself and play with self-imposed rules. But as is, the game is about Winnie Hot Jr.'s levels of difficulty. I mean, I appreciate the game not being Spelunky levels of difficulty, that's salty spittoon right there, but maybe something in between those two would have been a good idea. However, all in all, the game is solid. After a while, when you've killed every single Elder God after defeating the final boss of the game, which you can recruit and name Dennis if you prefer, you get access to the postgame. What's really interesting is that the postgame is not part of the original game. You see, developers paid close attention to the feedback of their community. Original game being short and easy? How about an entire postgame where all the enemies become a bit harder? Is the combat too simple for you? We'll just add a couple new abilities and relics to spice it up. Don't you hate it when your favorite cultists died of old age? Just give them this thing so they can live forever. And that was all a simple update post-release. I'm pretty sure they'll add even more content in the future, which is one of the many reasons I feel I can openly recommend this game to anyone. Just as long as you're not a Christian mom.
666 on the can and the double F's.
Now, I could try and talk about the community of this game and the talented fans who make art of it. But unfortunately, the community is the most unholy, rancid, dreadful, horrifying, horrendous, awful, hideous, grisly, gruesome, vile, abominable, atrocious, execrable, nasty, hateful, hellish, insufferable, revolting, and evil thing about Cult of the Lamb. So you know what? I'm not going to talk about that part. Shout out to this channel who made a short about the game. It was pretty good. It gave me strong Gravity Falls vibes from it for some reason. All in all, the game is solid. Definitely the best cult simulator I've ever played. And until next time,
You're pretty good.